you may have noticed the re-emergence of Tui billboards, and they were a cultural phenomenon when they first came out, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. A black billboard with a red stripe down the side with the Tui logo, Tui being a completely respectable mid-range New Zealand beer. And a statement would be white on black on the left-hand side of the billboard, and then "Yeah, right." And they were a wonderful campaign that was all about sort of slightly ironic Kiwi humour. Well, the Mangatanoka Brewery, which was Tui's home, as it were, Tui Beer's home, is actually closing down, but they have relaunched the billboard campaign after many years. I think it's run by Dominion Breweries. And it's just as popular as it ever was, to the point where, in the days of social media, some people, including the ACT Party, are taking the Tui billboard and memeing off it. In other words, producing electronic versions of a Tui billboard with the "Yeah, right" and posting them on social media. And that has led to the agency and the brewery saying, "Hey, hands off our billboards. We don't like you messing with our billboards." And I just think that this is worthy, because it is so much part of our culture, it is worthy of some examination. Now, we are talking to Mike Hutcheson now. He's the CEO of Image Centre Group, which is a multi-channel communications company. So he knows about PR, public relations, corporate relations, advertising, this sort of thing. Mike, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I know you're slightly pressed for time.
No problem at all. Good to talk to you.
All right. Now, Mike, no conflict of interest with you here?
No, none at all.
Okay, that's great. I looked at Tui coming back and clapping back against the ACT Party for doing a meme off one of their billboards. And I thought, "Yeah, right, they don't like that." Isn't this like peak success for an advertising or a social media campaign, that it becomes so much part of a national conversation that itself becomes a meme?
Well, I think you did right. It's part of Kiwi vernacular. It actually started, I think, in '97. Certainly when I arrived at Saatchi's in '98, it was well underway. The beautiful thing about it was the kind of most democratic, creative team. Anybody could have an opinion, and we used to canvass them from anywhere. And there were, I can think of at least 8 people who can claim that they came up with the line at different times. Mind you, is that whole. Everyone claims.
So, Mike, and now why reintroduce that? Because you know it works?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of the Kiwi culture. We've been through a sadly woke period, I think, where we've shut a lot of those things down. But one of the great Kiwi attributes is taking the piss. And I think that the more that we allow that to happen and democratise it, and I applaud them for then opening it up for other suggestions, because that gets everybody involved.
Well, they have got a program where they are sort of doing an outreach program to the public saying, "Come in and do it." But they are claiming that they are not happy. The ACT Party put one up. Well, they put up a social meme of a Tui billboard outside Auckland University that said, "Making Māori tikanga courses compulsory at Auckland University is really going to get it back up, the world rankings." Yeah, right. And then the ad agency, I think, or DB came back and said, "Oh, hands off our advertising campaign." And someone else put up a meme that said, Tui, the official beer of the ACT Party, yeah, right. And suddenly this whole other round of memes and stuff. Once again, that is still what they want, isn't it? Because everyone's talking about Tui and the Tui billboard.
Yeah, and I think that obviously there's someone slightly politically correct within either DB or the agency who said, "Oh, we should actually be careful here and not be seen to be racist." But it's just methinks they doth produce too much. I think that there is you should allow it to happen.
Yeah, and also it is caught, and we've been talking this morning on this program, it's a year since the election, and an awful lot has changed about the cultural mood and temperature of this country.
Yep.
And as you say, taking the piss, to use the vernacular, is back in style, and it's okay, you know?
It is okay. It is okay. You can't censor humour. And one of the beautiful things about creativity is that it's perverse, and it breaks rules. And one of the things that we Kiwis are good at is breaking rules. Our whole national game was based on a guy picking up the ball and running with it. We enjoy breaking rules. I wrote a thesis about 8 years ago on the alchemy of creativity in New Zealand business. And a lot of it is about thinking differently. And it's because, I guess, we're born at the bottom of the world, so we're hanging upside down, and we look at the world in a different way. We don't fear class or culture, and we're able to just make fun of each other, and that's healthy.
Yeah, it wasn't cool until probably about a year ago. You weren't allowed to do that. You'd make someone commit suicide, and it was dreadfully risky to offend anyone, Mike.
Yeah, well, that's the tragedy of it. You've been able to offend everybody for a long, long time, and it goes back to ancient times. I'm sure it's become exacerbated with social media and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that we're just overly sensitive.
Yeah. Do you think you're right? And the Tui ad, and look, I'll be honest, Mike. I might ring you after this. I think the Tui billboards and their attitude are a perfect match for a lot of the stuff we do on the platform.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'd love to get them on. We do a thing on Fridays where Ben and I crack a beer at 10 to 10 and talk about the week, and I think that would be so good for Year Right. We call the slot. It's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere. And I'm looking at that as a marketing opportunity. I wanted you to tell me, is there anywhere or any campaign in history that you think is as good as Year Right? Because I think it's outstanding because it has injected itself into our culture.